Hey everyone, this is Manny. My studio is called Suplex Audio, and I have a microphone company called Original GravityWave Microphone Company. I've also found myself doing ribbon repairs and mods, and I wanted to show you a little something on taking apart a Beyer 160. Now, I have to fair warn you that if you take these mics apart, there's a good chance you're going to ruin them. Just because, took me about a year to get up to the point where I'm feeling comfortable re-ribboning these and working on them. So it takes a little bit of time. They're really expensive. I consider $450, $500, even on the used market, expensive. You can possibly find one for $200, maybe blown through a friend. If you can get one as that, maybe experiment with it. But these ribbons are very interesting because they don't move like regular ribbons. So if you decide you want to replace these ribbons, not only is it difficult to get them kind of the same way, but it's almost impossible to find some ribbons to put in it by Beyer. They don't supply anybody with them. When these mics are ruined, they rip off the top and they put a new one on and it's disregarded. But if you have a classic, an older 160, I think it's worth keeping it. I think all 160s are worth keeping it, so that's why I do this. These mods that I'm going to do, if you've never cut a ribbon before, I don't suggest you should do this. These are some 160 ribbons that were blown, and they're very small. I don't know if you can see that. And, they sit inside right there. But they're, it's really difficult to cut them that small. And I'm not even trying to deter you from doing it or saying that I'm special and only I can do them. I'm just saying, even for me, it's really difficult to do these. And it's almost so difficult that I don't think a lot of people will repair them, because in some ways you can say it's not worth it. But since I love these mics, I'm going to show you. I started to take this one apart before I started this video, so you have to forgive the sequence. I just kind of got the idea about showing you after I had started to dismantle it. So I'll just kind of recreate what I was doing. So these head baskets, some of them come with screws, and most that you would say probably moderns won't. They don't just come off unless you dropped it and it popped off, and then good luck, at least you got it off. But they're really difficult to take off, and you could damage and scratch the mics. Luckily, the first ones that I worked on were my own, and so I had the luxury of not caring or just doing the process of it. It was really bad, and it was really, thank God it's my mic. So anyway, so this is my mic once again. I'm going to, which I would consider modify it, because I'm going to change the ribbons in it and put my own style of ribbons in this. But here it is. This is a 160. This is my mic company called OGMC, Original GravityWave Microphone Company. Not to be disrespectful, I know this is kind of like tagging a wall with someone else's name on it, but I'm pretty much changing this mic where the value is only what I value it being worth. So I don't recommend doing this to just a brand new buyer. Okay, so here we are. There's a 160. I got it, and like I mentioned, I've already started to take it apart. So you have to forgive me, and I'm not trying to play a joke on you. It's going to come apart easy because I already did it. But this is what I did. So I placed it on this foam here on a cutting block. I actually put on some cut resistant gloves because you can cut your hands really easy cleaning this or taking it apart. Some of the things you're going to need some razor blades, or we got an X-Acto knife here. It's not, I don't think this is a new blade. I think this is the one I use for everything. It's kind of messed up already. But it's worse good because inside this microphone is a bunch of glue 3 different types of goop, and you'll need some acetone because you want to clean off the surface when you're going to put the pieces back together. You need a little bit of alcohol. This is 91%. I'm sure you can find 100%, but during the pandemic, it was really difficult to find pure alcohol, so I just use this and it's fine. It's just mostly for cleaning the magnets. You'll need some small screwdrivers. So I have some set here. I've got about 2 or 3 different types of sets of small screwdrivers. And then lastly, I've got a nice assortment of tweezers. And you want to get ones that are non-magnetic, that won't stick to the magnets, because if you're replacing them or doing if this screwdriver was magnetized or metal, it would just jump and hit the mic and you could tear the ribbon. But like I said, we've got nothing to lose. This is my mic. It's blown. It's for sure blown. I can't think of anything else that you really need for taking it apart or cleaning it up. So anyway, so here's the mic. So what I did is I laid it on its head. Now, obviously, you would not do this to a healthy ribbon because you probably could blow it by doing this. And what I did is, if you were lucky enough and you had an older one that had screws, you just remove the screws and the top would come off. This one isn't. So if you go to a jewelry supply shop, you can find these. Jewelers use these for hitting things. One side's kind of, they're both rubber, and they're not going to be that, there's a little bit of cushion when you use this. So what I do is I get a small flat tip, and I place it very carefully around the ring, and you have to just tap it lightly. And what I'll do is I work my way tapping it around the whole ring, but you have to be very careful because you don't want to damage any of the screen, because this has a lot to do with the sound. You want it round, you want it as is and stock, so you definitely don't want to do it. That's my only thing. Like this mic, don't work on it if you haven't worked on some other mics. This is not your first mic to decide to take apart. All right, so let's say I've chiseled it around, and the reason is I've already done this, and I wish I could have showed you the process, but I'm not going to glue it back on so you could watch me do it. So once I did that, I can see that it's slipping. I can see the edge, so I knew I was getting it. Once I got to a certain point, I could see it opening. Then you just grab it with your hands. And like I said, I wore gloves because these are very sharp. And if I miss, I'm liable to just stab your hand or finger. But I'm on a cutting board also. That's a healing cutting board. So if I cut it, it just goes back to where it was. All right. So now that I've gotten this off, I had removed this. And even though you see this moving around, when I did, this was still on the top. Get a little bowl or a plate and keep the parts aside. Now, one thing that I can't show you because I had already taken it apart is that this top part was covered by this tape. It's a little bit nasty, and I'm not really sure when they designed this mic, it's really interesting. It's precision, like a Rolex, but then they use tape and glue and weird adhesives to put this on. So I'm sure there's a reason why. I don't really know why. Why isn't it just glued and why this is on it? But every time you find it, this tape would have been, I'll just put it back on, would have been something like that. But it taped around the side. It's slightly glued in too. There's glue on the bottom right there. So what I did is, I have these tweezers that are just plastic, and I just kind of do the best I can to grab them and make sure you just don't damage the mic as you do that. Don't do this if the ribbons are healthy, because when you take this top off, you could tear the ribbons. So anyway, so I remove this, And, you know, I'm recreating that because I already did it. And you can see there's little pieces of metal and foil. They're you don't keep these again. And then this top comes off, which has a screen that protects it. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see through it. There's glue on the bottom of this, and that's what this is, and it's glued on the top. So it's glued, then it's surrounded by tape. You remove the tape, and the way I got this off, because sometimes they're harder than not, is the same way. I put it on its side, and then with a sharp screw, still wearing my gloves, just very gently work your way around it until you can get a little bit of room, and then you can pop it open with a nice flat small screwdriver, a flathead. So then once this comes off, sometimes this doesn't look that bad, but sometimes they're just full of glue. It's just really nasty. And that's the problem, is that the glue gets inside and starts to, like, this looks kind of old. I think this is maybe 2005 or 6 this mic was. And for whatever reason, that's all dried up. And I'm gonna see if some of it will come off. Yeah, it's like dust, and that gets on the ribbon. So once again, it's incredible design. I mean, look at that. It's like it's so precisioned out. This is not anything made in China. It's German engineering, which is some of the best in the world. And there's 2 sets of brackets that hold the ribbons. So there's 2 ribbons in this, one on the top and then one right below it. I'm fascinated by these because I'm not doing this because I want to be a tech. I love ribbons, and my first records were cut by Steve Albini, and he used a Beyer M160 on my guitar. So when I decided to open up a studio, I started using these, but I was clueless to what was inside, except they're really fragile and you don't want to blow them. Now that I've gotten used to handling these, I'm a little bit more fearless with it. And I think that a lot of people put them right up on amps and put them on drums. Even one of my buddies put them on toms. It's insane that you would put those on toms. So anyways, like I said, these go bad, and you can see there is some particles on that ribbon, but it also looks like the ribbon is buckled up. And I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if this is going to be good or not. Let's see here. It's going to be really difficult. I just have a regular iPhone camera, and I'm doing this on the fly, so sorry. I'll get a better camera someday. Anyways, if you can't tell, if this is, let me get something. With the ribbon sitting inside, it should be straight, and I can tell that this side is lifted up. So if you can see right there, that side is higher than that side, which means either that ribbon broke or the ribbon underneath it came up into it. And I think that's why these are tricky, because they're kind of spring-loaded right there. Those 2 corrugations coincide with the corrugations going this way. And there's tension built up in these 2 ribbons. So they don't just lay in there. They're kind of spring-loaded. So once you unscrew them, they almost jump out of the mic. So I think if the bottom ribbon breaks or the top ribbon breaks, it's really obvious they're not going to work anymore. So we're going to take the screws off, and then I'm going to remove the ribbons. So I made this. This is just foam, and I made it so just the mic can lay in it, or like I said, when I don't want to damage the head when you use the hammer, a rubber hammer. So now I got this little, for models or whatever you want to use it for, a vise. And I lay it in it so it's still standing up. And I tighten it up. All right. Sorry, I just burped. Okay, feels pretty secure. Now, I always put something near me that I can put the parts from it, because there are a lot of parts. There'll be 8 screws and 4 brackets And believe me, these are not the kind of parts that you want to lose, because they fall on the floor. It's a nightmare to try to find them. They're so small. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah. So there they are. Those 2 screws and these other 2 screws are holding the top ribbon, and these bottom ones and these other bottom ones are holding, I'm sorry, these are the top and these bottom ones are for the bottom. Alrighty, so now I'm going to take it apart. Now, since these are blown, I'm not saying I'm going to be reckless, but I'm not too worried about the ribbons ripping or anything, because they're okay. And like I said, disclaimer, don't do this if you just want to look at the ribbons, because once I undo these clamps, there's a good possibility those ribbons will be ripped underneath those clamps. So don't take it for a test drive and think you're going to put it back. It's going to be a nightmare, and if anything, you may have to send it off to get it repaired properly. So anyways, that's the screw. Let's see, get it here. And get in the habit of working with tweezers. And it's not to be Mr. Fancy Guy. It's like, they're so small, man. They just pop right out of your hands, and you want to have a good firm control. So that's the screw. Let's put it right here, as you can see it. It's pretty small. One thing, I know this because I've done a few of these, but you have to be aware is that these top screws are going to be bigger than the ones on the side. Obviously, these go through 2 plates, and the ones that are going to be smaller go through 1 plate. So like I said, when you put them down, make sure you keep track of which ones are which and how you're doing it and why you're doing it. Just have some kind of system that you can either put these in a little Ziploc and put them aside, or like I did, I just have it looks like, I think that was an ashtray, and I just use it as the ashtray. Now these ones are still they're easy, even though they're small, they're easy to handle. So now when I pulled that one off, the bracket came out with it. So like I said, that's why it's a little bit nasty to deal with these, because I'm going to put those on the ground right there, and let's see if I can zoom in. And take it out of the clamp. Sorry about the movement. So that's the bracket. Pretty small. And that screw is, like I said, the larger screw, because that holds that bracket. And if you look at the unit, where is it at? Sorry. All right, because I'm zoomed in, I'm like, where am I going? So that's the ribbon right there. You can see it. I haven't removed it yet, but there's a good chance it's going to rip right there as I start to move it. So the mystery of these mics is the ribbons. And I can see some kind of damage on it a little bit. So this mic it's shot. And like I said, these will be holding the ribbon down below it, but I've removed this bracket, and obviously this is the next one I'm going to be removing. Once I remove that, take the ribbon out, and like I said, can't really reuse them because I think they're going to tear. So you have to be either a technician or someone that's willing to try to repair these. And these are, and like I said, these are, I think, the hardest microphones. Even for me to re-ribbon, I really have to get kind of psyched up to do them because they're just a little bit of a, pardon my language, a bee to work on. That's why a lot of guys just don't. They'd rather just send them back to the factory and have them just replace the whole top. But I think all these kind of sound the same. So even if you get a new top, you just roll the dice. What is it going to sound like? Is it going to have enough low end? Does it not have enough low end? I've heard 4 or 5 of them. They all sound different. So you roll the dice. But like I said, that's the top bracket or clamp, whatever it's called. So I have 2 screws and 1 clamp. Now I'm going to do the other side. Move this a little bit, sorry. Trying to get you guys a better view. All right. Like I said, if you want to start yelling at me for this not being a proper pro video, this is not a proper pro video. This is on the fly. I'm like, what the hell? I'm just going to show you how you take it apart. All right, so now we've got to do the second bracket. And I'm just using my hands. They're not tied at all. I mean, they're literally holding down gold leaf, or not gold leaf, silver, aluminum, but also these ribbons are not, I don't think they're foil or aluminum. Oh, it's a type of aluminum. So if you were to go buy replacements, I don't think you can find this aluminum unless it's old stock. I think it's called Alinute. What's it called? You're not gonna remember. But anyways, it's not regular foil that you buy online or go to eBay. It's a special foil that they used in the old days. I think RCA ribbons had a lot of it. Aluminium, I think. I think it's the same kind of thing when you put model planes and they have that kind of metal-looking foil or whatever that you put on it to make it look metal. That's what it is. So that's the second bracket. Just removing the screw. All right. So now that I've done that, I'll show you what the brackets look like. All right, bear with me. If you're about to fall asleep, go ahead and go to bed. I'm okay with that. So, take this out. So that's what it looks like. That's the top and the bottom. Now that, once again, those are long screws. And you do want to be careful because you do not want to lose one. I don't know where you would find replacements for these. All right, so I'm going to carefully put these back into the ashtray so I can know where they are and where to find them when I need them. All right. So now we're going to get to the real meat and potatoes of this, that first ribbon. That looks like it's going to be a little bit tough to get out. I'm going to make a first attempt with these tweezers, and I'm just going to see if I can get it to move away from that bracket. Move away from that bracket, sir. It's so scary. Even though I know I want to ruin this, it's just like if you can kind of keep it intact just to kind of have an example of what these look like. It's so brutal. Yeah, this one is not coming off that end, so I'm pretty positive. Sorry, went off camera. I'm pretty positive this one's gonna tear. And gonna just remove this really quick. Once again, this is not a professional video. This is an iPhone with a guy that's attempting to take apart a Beyer M160. All you repair guys that know what you're talking about, only respect. See, that one kind of disintegrated as I was trying to grab it. And that's how fragile they are. It's like, oh, you son of a gun, you. Ah. It's totally dissolving as I'm moving it. All right, well, I just ripped that one. Come on. All right, well, there's pieces of it coming off. I think I'm just going to remove the bottom one because it doesn't really matter. It's not like I don't know, I'm collecting them. I might as well be collecting rocks or something. They're useless. All right, so now we're just gonna, I don't recommend putting gold leaf on the floor, but I'm just gonna do it because it's my floor. Who cares? I can vacuum it up. All right, so now we're on the bottom brackets. All righty now. We're gonna take these apart. No really warnings of doing this, except don't lose the screws once again. They are super small. So, okay, these ones, I'll show you, are small. Is it stuck to my finger right there? I'll zoom in on this. I'll show you an example. Remove the phone. Sorry for the moving. So as you can tell, put these next to each other. There is a considerable difference in the size. I hope that's a good example for you. So that being said, you do have to be careful when you put them back and what you do with them, knowing that those screws are very important for the brackets that we are removing and putting back. All right, so we've got our 2 screws. I'm going to put them back in their safe haven. Also, we're at my recording studio, so this is not like a repair shop. It's just my little makeshift table with a light that I can look at stuff. And okay, back to the tweezers or the screwdriver. Okay, so we did 1 screw. This one is, once again, a short screw. That's scary because it's gonna fly out of there, so I'm gonna grab it with tweezers and remove it. Okay, so that's the second screw, and that is a small screw, not a large one like the top bracket. Then I think the ribbon has already fallen on the bottom, but here is the bottom bracket, which is obviously large. 2 screws fit that one. So you can see these ones will go on top of that one if it was not my hand. So that's it. This is the top bracket for the top ribbon. These are the bottom brackets. Top bracket, these 2 screws go through the bottom screw, which hold it to the transducer or the motor. And then these outer screws will hold it to the transducer as well. Why? While they're still holding the ribbons in. So if you want to look at that, that is now the empty bracket. You can see the ribbons are still in there, but we still have this bracket holding them down. So that's the magnets. These are the brackets. All right. And if you're joining in right now and you're even watching this, this is just my iPhone. I'm talking into it alone at my studio, and it's weird talking to yourself, but I'm doing it to show you how do you take apart a Beyer 160, an M160, which I'm pretty sure these are the same as a 500, 130, and a 230. The only difference is I think that the 160 has 2 ribbons. I think the 230 has 2 ribbons, but the 500 and the 130 are maybe 1 ribbons. I don't know. I don't take those apart. I haven't. But so now this is once again the small screw, because this is the bottom plate. Drop that in the plate pan for those. Now we're on the last screw. All right. Now last screw's out, no problem. And once again, these are smaller than the other ones, so keep track of them, or at least be aware. If you put them in the, oh, my breath popped that one out. So there you go. That looks like the ribbon kind of popped out. Like I said, they're almost spring-loaded. And like I said, if you're planning on saving them, you've made a mistake, because there's a good chance they are not going to remain cooperative. So that one looks like it's fallen inside. That probably is why this mic was bad. Oh yeah. That is just ripped. And I think that was that weird side that was sticking up. When I showed it to you, this side of the ribbon was popped up this way, and that looked normal. So when that broke, that little tension right there pops up, and I think that's what made that top ribbon look weird. It still worked, but low end was a factor, and it didn't have any. So let me put this back up here so I can free my hands. All right. Okay. Let me show you the ribbon. So that is the ribbon. So if you were attempting to say, oh, I'm going to take apart a 160, just realize you're going to ruin it unless you have your ribbons available to replace it. So this is the bottom bracket, like the other one I showed you. It's the 4 holes. This is the bottom, except the 2 smaller screws. And here it is, the ever elusive ribbon of a Beyer 160. So I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I can get some light better on it. Yeah, that is crazy. That is a crazy ribbon. No dude at the local repair shop is going to put a ribbon like that in your mic. And if he tells you he is, you better check his credentials, because they're just going to put a regular one inside, which isn't bad. But if you noticed, look how rigid that is. It's almost like it really doesn't bend. Here's an example. So, okay, you got this ribbon, right? I think I have a normal ribbon in here. This is from a Kohl's. And if you can tell, this is from a Kohl's microphone. It's pretty flimsy. It's not really standing on its end. But a 160, look at that. That is crazy. That's why these are rigid ribbons. And you know, you'll get your purist complaining that they're harsh or they're not nice. Well, they're not nice. They're made for guitars. Hendrix put them on his guitars. John Bonham put them on his drums. Those are not nice people. I mean, they're nice people, but the music they made was hardcore. All right. So besides my camera work, forgive all. My last disclaimer. So now we have to get that ribbon out of there. I think I have something for that. Let me look for it in my handy toolbox here. Whoa. I'm gonna see if these ones will work. That's the son of a gun there. I think I gotta take that one off first. All right, this is going in the right direction. Okay, got that one peeled back. Now I'm gonna try to go in there with this one. See if I can get it to go the other direction. Yeah, all right, cool. All right, so I think now I can grab it with the other one. Where are you? Oh, and like I said, I try to find tweezers that are not magnetized, or it's almost impossible to work on a ribbon mic because the tweezers will become maybe a safety hazard to your fingers, or the magnets will fly off the table and slam into your hand with the tweezers in your hand. It's not fun. I've done it a few times. Okay, so I'm missing my, where are you at? That one, that one. You are not in the right one. Holy smokes. Oh, I dropped them. My bad. I remember that. All right. Pardon the interruption. These are the ones I'm looking for. I'm just going to want to get this out of here. Not ruin it totally, but I already bent it. There it is. I just broke it. So, once again, an example. Luckily, I make my own ribbons to replace these. And I'm a little bit fearless because of that. So this is not all for nothing. I'm going to replace them, and I have to clean up this whole mic because it's just filthy. And you can even tell, like, it's pretty nasty. I mean, there's that little, I mean, it just comes off like dust. Last piece broke off. But that's it. That was taking apart a 160. What's interesting is they're just a coil that goes inside. That is the positive and the negative of this. So the design is crazy. It's cool. It's like a, you know, German engineering is pretty amazing. But I think they got drunk on the last side when, like, they gave it to Carlos at the factory. And he's like, we're just going to tape it and we're going to glue it after their beautiful handiwork. All right. I know there's not a Carlos over there. There could be. But this is made in Germany, so you can go through all the names that probably be working on this mic. From what I heard, there's only a few people in the world or there that will repair these and know how to do them proper. I'm not saying I know how to do them proper. I think I do them cool and they sound good. But to have the actual ribbons to replace them with is nearly impossible anymore. And there are a few people around the United States that have, and they found old stock 160 ribbons. God bless them. But I think they run kind of low in stock. So, you know, you have to be very particular. I would say this. If you had old stock 160 ribbons, I would save them for wonderful 1960s, early 70s 160s that are not black like this, but silver. I think those are worthy of keeping them as long as you can. The magnets were Alnicos. These are probably neodymium. And I think there is something to do with the sound. So preserving those and keeping those as long as you can, I think would be important. So I think that's why I'm doing this, to kind of, hopefully I would like to find some older 160s that are all silver from the 60s. Hopefully they're not blown, and just have them because I record and I produce and I love all sounds of ribbons. So anyways, try not to be a snob. These are not any better than any other ribbons in the world. These are just very particular, and they make a very interesting sound on drums, levy brakes, Hendrix. Eddie Kramer uses these all the time on Hendrix, and most producers I know, I'm in Los Angeles, they're not shy to get one of these and just put it right up on a rig, and they don't care. You know, they have multiple, 3, 4 of them. I don't know if they're worried about breaking them, but they know that when they put it on an amp and you slam that right up to the speaker or close to it, the proximity effect from the low end, I'm sure, matters. So if you want a heavier sound, you have to move it closer, and that's the danger zone, and that's what happens when you blow a Beyer 160. Hope you enjoyed it. I know people say leave a comment and subscribe, but I'm just doing this because I love working on mics and I love recording, and I'm a producer. So I'm a fanboy, and you don't have to subscribe to anything or even like it. But if you're going to be a jerk to me on here, then I guess you're going to be a jerk to me on here. I don't have time to read everything. Thank you so much. There it is. My company, OGMC. And it's the original GravityWave Microphone Company. What does that mean to you? Probably not a lot, but I like it. I like it a lot. Happy New Year's. Have a great year. Kick ass. Be nice to people. Tip when you can. And try to be respectful. Call your mom and dad if you haven't talked to them. Or don't, because maybe they're not nice. And then you be nice to your kids. Talk to you later.